What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in here. This is the AYLBG Sunshine Classic Under the Lights. Basically, a recruiting combine here for these young athletes, anyone in the ages of 2025. You got 2026, 2027, graduation classes, and so forth on here. A couple of college recruiters out here in attendance as you see them going across the bottom of your screen coverage here provided by Buford's own media. It's a little bit of a late start, delayed due to the weather. It rained for about an hour or so before, right at the start of the event, so that kind of delayed everything. So getting everything squared away. So apologize to everyone who was waiting to watch and got caught up in the delayed. Saw that we were supposed to start at 5 o'clock and we're starting at 6. But if you see the little bit of an overcast there in the background at the top of the screen, there as the clouds are starting to move away here from this Orlando area here. We are live from Oak Ridge High School in the Lee Leonard Stadium as we're getting ready to get ready to run the 40. Players were already addressed already by Coach Joe Warner, Coach Joe Neves, apologize, from Warner University. The camp director was the one to put this on and got me to come down here from South Carolina to be able to cover this event. We worked together before for a bowl game, so I'm excited to come down here and support Joe and appreciate everything that he's doing out here with the kids. So it's going to be exciting action. We had another commentator that was supposed to make it as well, so I'm kind of filling in the duties here. I probably would give you a little bit better explanation of the players and the details going on here, but pretty much got it. Pretty much summary. The kid's going to do a combine style, a little bit of a showcase. This is day one of the events, getting ready to go. So first period is going to be the 40-yard dashes from the kids here. So they're going to go 40-yard dashes. They're going to do 5, 10, 5 shuttles and some L drills as well as the first young man goes there. Nice strong form. And there goes the group of four that time. The young man went by himself there first. So this event was originally scheduled to go to about 9 p.m. 9:30. We're supposed to wrap this up, so it might go on about 10 or so here tonight. Definitely gonna have to meet the stadium lights to come on here in a little bit. In the estimation, you want to know how big this event is. Look at the amount of kids that are getting down there prepared to run the 40, minus the kids that have already ran. You see all the cars in the background across the baseball field there. Pretty big event for the first go around. So shout out to Coach Joe Neves for putting this event together. Shout out to B Burgess checking in as well. Appreciate the explanation. Hey, you got to give it to the fans, man. You guys are expecting a live stream. We could have started and just put weather delay and let you guys watch the rain pour down for the first hour. For the first hour there before, from about it was supposed to be started at what 4:30, 4 o'clock. So about 3:30 to 4:30 was the rain there. So that kind of delayed the registration and waiting for the rain to pass and setting up the cones and everything that entailed to be able to get this going. But for the most part, everybody was here just waiting in their cars. A lot of the guys were already here. And the other parking lot migrated over a little bit closer to the field so they can walk straight over instead of taking the long walk. Tell you what though, the big guy in lane number 3 there from the top, I guess number 2 from the bottom of your screen, he looked like he was moving pretty well for his size there. I think the coaches talked to him just a little bit there, kind of let him know he probably put a good time in there. Walking down there in the all black there with the, looks like the purple stripe there up the side of his shorts there. You see that going across the bottom of your screen there, some of the colleges in attendance here tonight. We got Atlantis University, Florida A&M, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, St. Thomas, Southeastern, and Warner all represented here this evening. And not on the ticket there, but Catapult Sports is also supposed to be in attendance there. Make sports performance wear as well. So opportunity for the kids on multiple sides there. Opportunity to play at the next level and get some recruitment. And also gain some sponsorship there if you're already one of those kids that are part of the 2025 class of 2025 crew. I'm not sure if high school NIL is allowed down here in Florida yet. I believe it, some in Georgia with some heavy limitations there, but also a recruiting agency there get you to go somewhere possibly overseas as well. Pretty hard to tell off a visual, but looking to see if I see a kid that looked like they're Blaze and Trail looks like they might have ran a good time. But also there is a best versus best period as well, though. So we will find out who the fastest kid here at the camp is. There is a best versus best segment near the end. So Coach Neves has informed me that he will do something along the lines of the best kids in the 101s and the best 40-yard dash times. He'll line them up and let them race for the title of the fastest or the best receiver or corner there near the end of day one as well. So opportunity there to stand out and put yourself on the map. And we'll have the full list of numbers as well up here in the booth so we can see the kids running, kind of take notice there. Don't forget, we got Under the Lights 2 coming up as well in about 2 weeks. If I'm not mistaken, was the actual date on that. It's Under the Lights 2, so that is going to be a padded, you heard right, a padded combine as well for the Under the Lights 2. Let's see, we got the flyer for that. Here it is. So Under the Lights 2, that's going to be a padded camp. Sunshine Cloud, Under the Lights 2, Jungle Warfare, padded camp. Coach Joe and Coach Woods are both going to be in attendance and putting that together. It's going to be at Cocoa High School in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and that's going to be next weekend, July 19th. And that's going to be a one-day event there. So a padded combine, padded camp, which is a big deal, big opportunity, especially these kids trying to go on to the next level as well, trying to get their recruiting. See the list here that Coach Neves sent me. And so when some of these kids are barely getting into high school, and some of those, a little bit, we got class of 2024 on here, all the way. See, this is the highest 2029, I believe. So 2020, so a lot of age represented here, from young to older. So kids that might have missed this opportunity, um, kids that might have missed the opportunity for whatever reason there at the time, maybe late bloomers. Sometimes it happens. I know a lot of, for me, a lot of my athleticism came in first year of college. So some of those kids 1 year removed it can make a lot of difference. Sometimes you need the right training to prepare yourself, or skill specific focus. So it's a lot of reasons for kids to be at this camp, and sometimes it doesn't mean that you're in good. You got to be in the right place at the right time. And these kids, and there we go, lane number 2. Looks like he was rolling there. Might have been the dreads, because the blue shorts there in lane number 3. Looks like he closed the gap on him after starting afterwards as well. So it looks like we got some speed going between those two in the middle, starting to show off here. Long strider there in lane number 3. You'd be surprised, man. Some of those guys with the long strides that don't look like they're moving that fast. When you have to cover those guys at the receiver position, or have to track them down, you'd be sure how fast they are, especially if they're at a defensive end position. Those long legs, man, the amount of ground they can cover in fewer steps, that makes it look like they're not running as fast, is ridiculous. But best believe they are moving. Looking for some of the colleges represent schools represented it too as well. We got Columbia High School, Spanish River, St. Lucie West, Cynic Center College. So it's looking college receiver trying to move up. Oak Ridge, the host of this event. Mount Dora High, Space Coast, Junior Senior, Mainland, Flagler Palm Coast, Yulee. Shout out Derrick Henry, Mainland High School, Zephyr Hills School. Well, I thought they just made water. They're high school as well. That's interesting. Holy Trinity Episcopal, Pedro Mendez, Union County, Edgewater, Sandalwood, George Jenkins High School, East River, Timber Creek, Miami Beach. We got Lincoln High School in the building, Fort Pierce Central, Coral Glades, Melbourne. So a lot of schools represented here. We got public and private, Miami International Academy, St. Thomas Aquinas. I think you're a high school sports fan if you haven't heard of St. Thomas Aquinas uh, in history. One of the biggest, most successful prep schools, private schools there. St. Thomas Aquinas, they often in those national rankings. I remember when I was younger and streaming high school games, national games were, big about, 10, 15 years ago, and they became a thing, especially those top ranked games. They started being covered and being on ESPN, and St. Thomas Aquinas was one of those schools that were taking it to almost everybody they could back then. Yeah, Bird just checking in for the grandson class of 2029. And speaking of class of 2029, this is a great start. I think a lot of times people think that, sometimes you getting to the next level is all about and simply, all about, being a good athlete. sometimes you got to put yourself out there. It's all about being a good athlete and being there at the right time. You got to think about, what if you're a quarterback in the high school you go to, maybe the offensive line isn't that good, or the offensive coordinators, you know, scheme isn't that good, and we're not we're not trying to spread out blame. That's one thing that we don't want to do is spread blame to anybody else. You always got to be responsible for yourself. But at the high school level, when you don't know any better, there are things, and you're not really sure 100% what your skill set is, or what if you try out for high school for the first time and you wind up in the wrong position. You know, I played middle linebacker, outside linebacker for most of my high school career, and it's got switched over to running back, and it wasn't until the following years where I made a lot better player of myself playing off the edge. Outside 3-4 outside linebacker in the stand-up technique, and found out that was more of a position for myself, and had better success there. But my school ran a 4-3, didn't run a 3-4, and then I was one of the more athletic people on the team at the time, and we had a need for running back, and we were deep at linebacker, so I got switched to running back and started at running back. So it's situational sometimes. Sometimes it's not all about skill. You can kind of get moved around from position. You cannot be put at your right position. Sometimes you could be a player that might be helping a need. You're offensive line at heart, but your team needs help on the D line. You're a defensive line at heart. Maybe your team needs help, on the O line. A linebacker that put you at tight end wherever. You know, we had a kid named Casey Fields that went to South Carolina State. They had him playing wide receiver for most of his career, multiple places. He always played wide receiver. And his senior year, they switched him to running back about 3 games in. Ran off 2,000 yards, had 300 yards in scrimmage yards, and 5 touchdowns in the state championship game. And as that Buford High from my hometown clinched state a couple years ago, but and wound up getting an offer to South Carolina State. But who knows what kind of offers or where he could have wound up if he was at running back for his whole high school tenure. So you always have to think about those things about being out of position and playing for team needs, and just opportunity. And then being out here as a freshman, uh, camps, you have to get eyes on you. Show yourself off at camp. Make sure they see you. Then that lets them know that you're also putting off in the effort. Because if one of these college recruiters are at another camp, they're like, "Oh, you're at this camp too," and now you build a familiar face. They see you always at camps. They see your numbers. Maybe they didn't like your numbers, at camp last year, but this year they see your numbers, increase or improve. The next combine they see you at next year. So these are opportunities that you can't miss, and these are opportunities that you have to take advantage of. What if your school isn't good at uploading film? That's another thing. Get film, get film, get film. So you can get eyes on you. You can send out recruiting tape yourself. You'd be surprised. I believe it was Josh Allen, who's NFL quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, who was the one that mentioned that he sent out his tape to a lot of coaches over and over on his own before he got that offer to go next level to Wyoming, and that was his only offer, and he took it. So it's just opportunity. It's not all about being talented. So you take advantage, and that's the great thing about this camp. You see these kids out here. So as we're finishing up the 40, the next part is the 5-10-5 shuttle. And I believe the group, I'm not sure how they have the group, if they have the group split up different. I'm pretty sure they have it split up, wide receiver, corner, running backs, linebackers, maybe offensive line, defensive linemen, depending on how they have it. Because it looks like the smaller kids are on the other side. A little bit of the bigger kids are more to the closer side here of the screen. And you see our first group here already from the 40 going in to start their 5-10-5 shuttles. So if you've never seen a 5-10-5, basically it's you're in 5 yards, 10 yards, and 5 yards. So you start in the middle, and it basically showed your side-to-side quickness. So boom, that's 5 yards from that cone, 10 yards all the way down, and then 5 yards, and it finishes right there in the middle, basically at your original start point. And it basically shows your ability to get from point A to point B, your ability to change direction, which happens a lot of times. Football, you're going side to side a lot of times. So basically, your stop and start quickness there. And so technique there. So two, I would say one, he turned all the way around, and three, he didn't finish all the way through the drill. So you're trying to increase and maximize your time. You want to finish all the way through the line. So run full speed all the way through. See how this next kid goes. Shuffle, shuffle, go down. Still facing the same way and finished almost all the way through. But you don't want to see a full 360 in this drill. And you can go either way as well. A little bit of a false start there. They're gonna allow them to start over there. So that's the one thing about it. Whichever way you're naturally quicker, you can go either way. So I made him go the other way. Or maybe they're making them go the same way, but I think at NFL Combine, they'll let you go either way as long as you do the 5-10-5 correctly. There you go, finishing all the way through the drill there. We're going to go to another group here. Watch them in the 5-10-5. I believe this might be on the long sides of the possible wide receivers group here. So maybe we'll see a little bit more lateral quickness. And we do have a couple of kickers and punters here today for the special teams period, so they will be joining us. I mean, well, I don't want to say joining us, but they will be a part of this event as well, though, so can't leave out the special teams. So they'll be in the position drills, and then the specialist competition will be towards the end of the night at 9 o'clock. see right there in the middle, a little extra misstep when he tried to turn around and go back the opposite way. Burgess, it's good to be a athlete. It is a very good thing to be an athlete, to be able to play multiple positions. And I want to make it clear that it is, while it is not a bad thing, it can hurt you if you're being used incorrectly. So, I think the biggest thing is to hold on to a position and then play whatever your coaches need. So if you're a linebacker, you're a linebacker at heart, or that's your best position, and they have a need, they want you to play, tight end or something like that. You can say, hey, I can play tight end for you, but I need to stay at linebacker. That's my spot there, and kind of hold true. But you never know. Always give it a shot. See if you like it. You never know what you can get recruited for, but you want to find one strength. You want to have, in the words of college terms, you want to have a major. You can minor in whatever you want to. You can go back to school and get another degree, but that original major or whatever you have your doctorate, you need a focus, and that's what's going to get you recruited mostly. But being recruited as an athlete is a thing. You see one. You don't see too many dual threats get drafted. I think that's why Travis Hunter was a big deal. He was one of the first players to be one of the few players, I don't want to say first, that was known for playing both ways at the college level. Usually at college, you kind of settle down and they kind of put you in a spot. So you need to find out what that spot is so you can be comfortable with it. Looks like a quick 5-10-5 there. Really slowed down there at the end, but he had a great start. It's 5-10-5. And a small explanation there sometimes is needed, and I think that's the best time about these clinics. Sometimes it's some of these kids' first times, and he's moving pretty fast in that one. But sometimes it's these kids, their first time, out here doing some of these events, and sometimes their school don't teach them, doesn't teach them, how to do these drills. So when you go to a combine, you're kind of caught off guard. You're like, oh, I could just go and do that. But practicing these drills are very important, especially because the only time you will ever be doing them is when you're getting tested. You probably won't actually do it this fast ever in a game because you're based off of reaction time, what the offense or defense is doing, making a player miss or trying to make a tackle. So you'll never do it at full speed like this during a game, but for time. But the most of the time where you will do these drills is when you're being tested, when coaches are looking at you, when recruiters are looking at you, and people are judging you for your performance. So it does well to test to train yourself in these specific drills. I know position specific drills are very important, but combine drills are just as important, especially if you're going to be doing them a lot. Like hopefully some of these kids are, and a couple of players slip. He slipped there on the turf just a little bit there, and that's because a little bit of rain here before. It looks like we got a player in the background there. Might have been light today. Going to take off and do a 40 as we're in the 5-10-5 portion. And CJ's mom, I would get a little bit. I got the big boys in the beginning there for the 40 in the beginning of the 5-10-5 there, so I gave them the most amount of shine there at the beginning. But they're kind of tuning me out here a little bit. I guess this is a little bit of a family friendly of a stream right here. But see, they're running the 5-10-5 in front. Can't really see the big boys there from cone to cone there. The way they kind of curved in there a little bit. But if you see your kid there, just let me know which one he is. Give him a little bit of a shout out there. You can recognize him in the lineup. And so a player really gets stuck in the dirt there. Cleat came off. He slipped up twice there. He's having some trouble running it there, keeping his balance there. And I have a weird thought about that too as well because he's the only one that slipped consistently. I think the other players have been able to run it successfully. And this kid in the white here, I'm pan to him in just a moment. He looks like he's gonna get a pretty fast 5-10-5 there. The big guy looks like Leonard Williams from former UFC player to the Jets. I believe he's on the Giants now. The big cat. middle of the screen there with the quarter, with the ball. We've got the quarterback coming up. Looks like we've got about 13 quarterbacks listed here today. I tell you what, that was a beautiful 50-yard punt. On this other side there, see them warming up, and I'm not sure exactly what his name is there. Hard to see any of the numbers, but only a couple of kickers and punters listed here today. There might have been walk-ups because walk-ups were welcome to join as well. And I think that is the finish of some of the big boys there. Talk it up for a quick moment. So after the after the 5-10-5, we'll be moving on to the L drill, which will be the next one. It sees some of the players are grabbing helmets though as well. So let's see how that goes down there. A couple of players still running that 5-10-5 on the far side. there's Coach Joe Neves right there. See him with the polarized sunglasses there and the black bucket hat. Give Coach Joe his shout out there. That is the man with the plan right there in the middle. Coach Joe Neves. A couple of the big guys still running the 5-10-5 over here. I think you kind of veered off there at the end instead of running straight through. You want to stay as flat as you possibly can when you run that 5-10-5. So it looks like he ran at a little bit of an angle on the way out there. So those are all things that might not take whole seconds, but take when you're doing this drill, it's all about milliseconds, and these are things that takes off a bunch of milliseconds off of your time because they do matter. I mean, the difference between a guy, you might not think about it, but a guy that runs a 4.3 and a 4.4, those are two different types of speed. It doesn't seem like it, but man, does it really, really, you know, make a difference. So I believe that is the last of the group for the big guys there on the 5-10-5. And the guys are starting to put helmets on. And so we got a bunch of helmets and guardian caps as Coach Joe's getting ready to address the guys, looks like here in the middle. I wish we had him on a loudspeaker here, but so it looks like they might skip the L drill and go straight into the position drills with the coaches for the next about 30 minutes there. So some of the things that so L drill might have been one that they cut short in terms of the time constraints with getting out here a little bit later due to the weather. And that's the one thing about football that not really mad because it's also one of the things I love. I love playing in the elements. I love because you see how strong your team is. Playing in the heat, playing in the cold, playing in the rain. The toughness of your team. But when it comes to things like this, like combines and 7-on-7s and recruiting, all of it has to be done, mostly outside because that's where it's done. Not too many indoor stadiums, especially at the when you get to the high, what you're talking about the high school level. At college, you can get indoors. Everybody has a practice shed with football field inside. But high school, it's all outdoors, and you have to sit there and you have to uh, sometimes it can ruin your opportunity to get caught by the weather there. You could have ruined a great day, a great opportunity for these kids. And so we're going to get ready to go into the position specific drills there. guess they're deciding which which side is going to go where. So I guess we'll rotate between positions, and the great part about drills being position specific is where you kind of almost immediately tell group which group is which by the drills that they're doing. So let's see what we got here on the timer. See how many groups they split everyone in. We'll make a decision on how far we'll go there. So we'll rotate around. So about 45 minutes for the position drills. And we got so we'll give everybody about 5 minutes of coverage here for the position drills. So let's see who gets to go on active first. So these are the running backs that are going to go through the bags here. Apologize for a little bit of the glare here. We are filming through the glass of the press box there. Well, it looks like the defensive linemen are going there in the background. The running backs are still kind of exploiting their drill, so we'll go ahead and give some time to the big boys here, as they're already going ahead and running through their drills already. So I'm trying to see if I can identify groups here. So I believe this far corner is defensive linemen here, because you see their working off in the defensive lineman stance, 3 point stance there, and then they're working on ripping through the lineman arms. Is that what? And turning their hips to get by, grabbing grass to stay low. All right, and there's running backs there in the middle there. So they're working on holding onto the ball and keeping their knees high. DBs are doing back pedals. Linebackers are to the right of our screen here. Um, as they're working on pursuit drills, proper angles through the hole. Quarterbacks are obviously throwing the ball. Wide receivers are lined up on the sideline there. And offensive linemen over here by the quarterbacks as well. So like I said, we'll give everybody about 5 minutes of time here. The Purple Helmet Party is on. If anybody knows which school has purple helmets, their D linemen are getting to work in because they're all here. So I don't think I see that many purple helmets at any other position, but the D linemen are leading. They got a bunch of purple helmets, so that D lineman is definitely putting something together strong that they're working on. So similar motion now from the opposite side, but this time coach is giving them basically an offensive line shadow to kind of go around there. So straight up instead of a straight up release. We'll restart the timer and we'll go with the running backs for a little while here. Still working through the bags. Friendly fire there. Getting into each other in the drill. And working on lateral quickness there, shuffling of the feet. And this is good for maneuvering through holes. So a lot of times, running backs have an actual assigned hole that they're supposed to go to on any given play. But sometimes that hole can quickly get clogged up based off what the defense does. And so what the normal foot movement from a running back is to hop to the next hole you see there. So the ability to switch holes or to change direction with just a little bit of shuffle based off your read. That's what this drill shows there for the running backs there. Let me give the DBs a little bit of love here now. Looks like right now what they're going to work on is breaking on the ball here. Last year they were doing was just a little bit of ball in the air. Basically, see your feet going backwards. DBs most of the time they're moving backwards. For the most part, in any given play, trying to cover the receiver, match the receiver, so the ability to change directions um, while running back, which is very important for a DB. So this drill also shows the flexibility in their hips to be able to turn and keep their balance and speed while following the wide receiver. this is different here. He has them working in tandem. So depending on which way he breaks the ball, they're both supposed to break that the same way. But what it gives you is a feeling of playing with contact, bump and run with the receiver, and being able to make a catch in traffic all in one. So this drill actually does put a lot together. So backpedaling, your bump and run, your coverage, and to be able to follow, to be able to make the play. So the only question I have in this drill as a person who's just filming from upside, from up top, is figuring out who exactly is responsible for making the play. Is it the trailing guy or the leading guy? Is the question. We'll go to give the receivers a little bit of love here. Wide receivers are working on their agility here, working through the cones, stepping through the cones, and catch at the end. So, on two things I noticed there. So, and a combine and a showcase like this, a drop pass and a simple drill at 25% speed is definitely not a good thing. But even worse was the head drop. That the coaches pay attention to things like that. They don't want to see players beat themselves up. I mean, of course, you could be upset at yourself or mad, or you could go off to the side and do push-ups, or what I'm saying, stay focused, get your head back into the play. But I don't want to see your head drop, especially if you start to have a little bit of a bad day. So watching your head drop talks about your mental toughness, through adversity. That's something that doesn't want to get seen as well. A little bit of off coverage here. I think this might be the safety group. I think we were watching the corners before because they're playing tight coverage. That beautiful catch, though, in the drill. But I believe we watched, I believe this is the safety group right here in the middle of the field. They're working on off coverage there. And sometimes when you slide over in coverage to slide the defense, safeties are usually not on ball defenders or, in press coverage. So usually they're about 5 to 7 deep. So this would make perfect sense them covering deep routes over the middle. All right, and I believe that might be the end of the individual workouts. They're trying to get some of everybody there, but they're calling the scramble there in the middle of the field. Just a second here. everybody. I'm a little out of breath here, but got to see me uh, run down there real quick, make a hole so you get a better view. The O-line, D-line drills going head to head real quick, helmet to helmet. And a little bit of push there. And blowing them back, decisive win. Driving the feet, pushing them back, just trying to stay hold, and a solid step at the line, hold them up. And I'm mistaken, offense is on the right, defense is on the left. Head to head looks like something everybody's looking forward to doing. Looking forward to this matchup. The crowd starting to slowly slide back in to get a better view there. And the big guy. Oh, man. Like we might have got an upset in that one. Neither one exactly moved, but he kind of went off to the left there a little bit. That's decisively going to go to the young man in the blue and gold and blue helmet there, blue shirt. Call it a tie on that one. Running back, everybody loves that. Everybody loves that. A running back. Need everybody to back up. The crowd slowly moved back in the way. I tried to clear him out the shot, everybody, but So I think we switched into the best versus best. So that was the offensive line versus defensive line. So we got wide receivers versus DBs and LBs versus RBs, but we had a little bit of a breakout here. So just following the action. Yeah, Miss John, Miss John, Jane John there. I wanted to run back down there to clear the crowd out once again, but I didn't know how many more reps they were going. It would be worth it for me to run down there. And as you see at the, if I would have ran, by the time I would have got down there and got back up, it'd probably been like 3 or 4 more reps, and that would have been it. So we're clearing it out here. Some of the quarterbacks are getting warmed up. I won't say we really they've split completely into position groups. I think everybody's grabbing water breaks before they link back up. I know best versus best still got running back versus linebacker and wide receiver versus DB. It's on the itinerary. That was just offensive line versus defensive line. See what goes here next. So it looks like we're back to positions once again. I think the defensive line is gathering on one side. The linebackers is over here to the right. Oop. It's a larger group down there in the lineman territory, so I think they put the offensive linemen and defensive linemen together for this period. So I believe on the right we have quarterbacks, wide receivers, and linebackers here on the side. A little up to our linebackers. We didn't get them in those last position drills, so we'll get them here in their coverages here. So this will be covering out of your position. So if you're lined up a Will or Sam outside, all right? So you split the position, you follow your DB, they cut inside. I mean, your wide receiver, they cut inside, you turn your shoulder, and you catch your interception there over the middle. All right? So that's kind of dropping back 45 and getting in and whipping your head around to make the interception in the middle. wide receivers and DBs going at it here. The out route, nice coverage there on the out. Off coverage, a little bit of spin move there at the bottom, almost confused me too. And almost made the grab. Might need to zoom out here for these routes. Got thrown off with the off coverage. They're going to go back to back here, trying to keep it motion. Field lights have turned on, so brightened up here a little bit. So on the bottom of your screen, they're running off coverages. Trying to see if they're communicating routes first or just running the route. I think they communicated the route first on there. Nice separation. Led just a little bit too much there on the throw. Far side of the field now. Outside, nice jam, staying in the pocket. It's more so good coverage on that one, more than throw. So we're going from the slot here this time, the out route. So some nice coverage right there, playing under. Almost came away with the interception. Going from the top of the screen. Post corner, did he come down? Oh, I thought he came down with the catch. Nice way to follow through all the way to the ground by the DB on that route. One of the few shallow routes we've seen here today. From the slot at the top of the screen. Tried to run a little bit of a seam. Nice throw opportunity there for the wide receiver to make a little bit of an acrobatic catch there. Couldn't get it. Tried to follow through with that one. I'm running them back to back on both sides here. running backs looks like going there. Nice break on the ball for the interception there. So now we got running backs working on linebackers here. Nice catch there. A little bit in traffic. Coach hopping out of the way. Going back to wide receivers here. Across the middle. Looks like they're about to go from the top of the screen here. Went too far on the throw from QB on that one. And this first one of the few taking them wide outside here. Got to expect the inside route, and nope, it's going to keep it going deep. And a little bit short. On the throw. So I got a big group of guys lined up here. I'm not really sure exactly what the move is here, but it looks like these guys right here in the middle of the field are about to line up in for a 7 on 7. See if they're going to get started here in anytime soon. So I'm actually waiting for some kind of event to get started on either side here. So there was some changes due to that. So we haven't got to the specialist competition. So we did best versus best. We did O line versus D line. We did wide receivers versus DBs, linebackers versus running backs. I don't know if you want to call that best versus best, but we did do the one on ones there. Um, So we still have the 7 versus 7. We have the 40-yard best versus best. And the inside outside zone, the specialist competition are all the things left that we have not done yet. So if they're going to do the 7 on 7, it's 3 downs to score 40 yards. The O line and D line is making some moves down here on this side. Wide receiver DBs on the linebacker side hasn't gone yet. collision going on there without pads on and helmets. Trying to work through, trying to flow towards the ball in the zone there. We got a full offensive unit versus a defensive unit there. And they're just flowing to the ball there. Trying to take down the coach, I believe, from, I don't want to give him the wrong college there, but and they have moved the offensive defensive lineman there kind of towards the end zone there, so they're going to be hard to look at as we get started. 7-on-7s here. A deep throw over the right side. Let's see if we keep up with it here. The roll is 3 downs to score 40 yards is how they're doing it here. So it looks like they're going to change out the full offense and defense here. Defense held out here on the right side. Nice find there. Nice catch. Holds on. And are they going to move the ball or are they going to call that a score? They're going to call that a score. And it was a one throw. These young men here in the gold helmet. Great throw there. Comes out and finds touchdown. Great read. Switch sides here now. Going to the left. Same rules apply. Ball on the 40-yard line. 3 downs to score. Oh, nice throw. Dropped over the middle, though. Yeah, let's short the game there. See. Second play call. And short, deep, over to the left-hand side. Broken up by the DB there. Ball going to be incomplete. And that's going to be the end of that run as new units come on for the offense and defense on both sides. So we'll go back to the right side here. too far. I tried to find a man there deep on that left side. Second down for this crew. So got some substitutions though on the defensive side. However, throw to the outside. This ball going to be complete. This is going to be first down, so they are going to move the ball down. I got one more down to get to the end zone, and we got referees out here. We got a referee out here with. I was not expecting to see that this evening, making a little bit official the 7-on-7. Got a score here. Ball going to be incomplete. And so let's bring it on back. So you get 3 downs to score, not 3 downs to a first, is the rule. So getting the QBs to kind of push the ball here, make some big plays. We got Brandon Corona joining us, coach from the University of Fort Lauderdale, Cora Glades. Shout out to you joining us here. There we go, class of 2028, the QB is the KO. Cora Glades High School there. I was trying to find him there on the roster there. Give him a shout out there for Coach Corona for joining us in. Oh, almost intercepted and dropped. You got to finish it through. You got two referees out here. New in. Deep over the middle. Tried to go over top. Well, Charlie probably would have played through that. Could have got the tip drill there. Possible interception. First catch there, going to move it up a little bit of a short yardage. Ball going to be incomplete. Give some love to the other side of the field here. Ball is on the 35. So not sure if this is second or third, but it's on the 35, so I know it's one of them. Nice way to get dropped that over the defense right there, moving the chains. So I take that was second down. So it's going to make third. And moving the chains. No chains out here today. But moving the ball, so that means they got one more down to score here as the O-line, D-line is off to the side. They should be inevitably be done for tonight. I'm assuming is the case. And try to throw that into traffic. That's going to be in there, third down. Oh, dropped in, intercepted, picked off by the defense and ran back. It's going to be a turnover for the defense there. Deep pass on the first play. But a communication issue there. Trying to find a man over to the left. Some bodies fall there on the ground. No refs on this side, so no PI call. Nice pass down low in the wheels, trying to get to the end zone. He was able to get there. That's going to be a touchdown for the offense. We're going to switch sides here. Draws back, looking for some room to his right. Finds somebody to the left. Nice dot to the back of the end zone. Beautiful catch for the score. The offense grabs the point there. Opts for a short throw there. Can't make a man miss. Ooh, false. Oh, no, okay, motion. Thought they were going to call out a false start on that. Makes the catch. Going to be touched. So get one more down here. One more try here from the 10-yard line, keeping the running back in motion. See him on a little swing route. Finds the room. Player falls down. Ball going to be incomplete. And that's going to end the drive there for the offense. Defense holds on that one. Short throw to the running back. Can't bring it in there on the flat route. Short throw over the middle. That gets them half of their yards there. Now one more try to get into the end zone. And the interception for the defense. It's two in a row. You guys didn't see the one on the opposite side of the field there. Well, that's two interceptions in a row for both defenses. The defenses on both sides, and while they switch, they're going to start the drive over here. So we're going to switch over to the left side. Big arm throw to the right side. We're going to be too far out of bounds, incomplete. That's going to be second. Throw it to the left, just too far, has the arm. Definitely can see the arm strength on this young man right here. I wish I had the name on some of these guys. One more down to try to score here. And a dramatic Madden uh, glitch celebration there from everybody. Remember the backflip there on the defensive side for holding out on that drive as they clap it up. Collision over the middle, breaking up the pass. The safety getting in the middle of that one. So here's the second chance attempt here. Well, that probably was a false start. No flags on the side. Nobody's going to call it. Oh, almost wound up in an interception. That would have vilified the defense right there for the offense getting away with a call. He's going to do the push-ups there. A little bit upset about himself with that one. And almost a nice throw there over the middle there. bit of meat in there, almost to conclude the camp there, but we got one more event left to go, and I believe that is the special teams portion. So they're going to work on a kicking from about the 20 here. Wondering what's going on. This is the special teams portion of the camp. Some of these guys are practicing the kicks and their long snapping ability. The guys right there at about the 20-yard line are getting some coaching on long snap. There's an attempt right there from the 40-yard, about a 50-yard kick. Falling just short. And the second round of attempts have a little bit of coaching up about some long snapping. And I guess that is looking to be the conclusion of possibly campers are calling all the players to the middle here. This is the end camp. I'm not sure exactly what is going on here. I know that the best of the best of time has passed, and then this time is awards and offers. So I'm not sure if they're giving away the best of camp, giving the open the floor, the opportunity to ask questions. looks like that's going to do it. After ending with the prayer, that's going to be day one of the AYLBG Sunshine Classic under the lights. Don't go anywhere. We got day two coming tomorrow right here back on the Buford Zone YouTube and Facebook pages here. So I want to thank once again for Coach Joe Neves for having me out. Shout out to all the coaches that were in attendance there to help out and check out the players here tonight. Atlantis, Edward Waters, Florida A&M, Fort Lauderdale, Florida Memorial, St. Thomas, Southeastern, and Warner all in attendance here today. So shout out to everyone that came out to watch these players perform here today. And that'll do it for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and have a great night.